time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, just plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
I'm still getting into it. All right, welcome, Paul Van Bellen, and obviously me, Ben Prophet in the house. How are we doing, Paul?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you? How are you going?
Very good. I'm very good. But we stopped this because, well, we weren't going to do a podcast today, but there's a lot of people crying out for information, and we are here to give you the information that we have. Is it all the information? Maybe not. But it's going to be some information, which is better than nothing. So where are we at? We're obviously going to talk about the Aloha Classic, which is in its holding period now. What are the conditions like in Maui at the moment? Have you been looking? If you haven't been looking at the Instagram accounts, at the YouTube channels, you might not have seen it. But I think we should have a look at a few of these. Check out this. This is Victor Fernandez yesterday at Hookipa.
Bam.
What's he say? He says, Lay Day was fun. So they chose to not compete today. I have a feeling Mr. Head Judge Duncan Coombs will be a bit gutted. It turned out to be a pretty solid day. I heard 5 meter sails until about 3 o'clock. And then after 3 o'clock, 5-5. Now I'm talking very specifically there because I'm talking about a rider specifically. I'm talking about Graham Ezzy. Spoke to him earlier, and that's exactly what he told me. So he said it was looking, you know, if he thought it could come through, and it came through maybe better than expected. So
that's way better than I expected. I was expecting hardly anywhere near according to that forecast.
Yes. So which we're going to go on to in a second, just to give you guys an idea of how it is. I mean, Ezzy looks like on it. This could have been at the end of the day, maybe on the, well, it could have been on, actually, this might be on the 5-0 earlier in the day. So it's fun conditions on Maui today. All the pros warm up for the Aloha Classic, which is due to start any day now. Lots of action on the water. Felt good to get a few link turns and some tricks. He looks quite on it, doesn't he, Mr. Ezzy?
Oh, yeah. Well, he sailed it probably 1,000,000 times. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting with him too in the heats, because you never think of Ezzy of going all the way sometimes, because he, you know, sometimes gets outshone by some of the other big names, but he might take down a few big names early on. Who knows?
Yeah, he definitely could do. Now, I screenshot this forecast. So this isn't the up-to-date forecast, but this shows Thursday. Now, what the conditions we just saw there for the guys listening audio only, pretty fun, overhead high, just about, you know, 5-0 weather. Pretty fun waves look like. And that was Thursday's forecast. And if we're looking now, Thursday on Wind Guru looks like that. It's that northeast-east, which Graham was on about, comes in windier than it says. And that was on Thursday. So look at that. It's light blue. It said 7 to 9 knots on Wind Guru. So that kind of gives you an idea of what sort of conditions could blow up. You know, and that looked pretty fun, didn't it, to me?
Yeah, that looked, it was white capping at the background. So it looked like 15 to 20 knots at least, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if we look at this forecast now, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be windy if you look at exactly the right direction, and it's windier. On Wind Guru, again, for audio only, says 11 to 14, 13 to 15. Today, or the one we just watched, was 7 to 9. So there's a big difference there. That could be 4-7 weather, or at least good 5-0 weather. Swell looks like that was probably the max. Maybe there's a little bit more on Sunday, a bit more period, which makes a big difference. 12-second period on Sunday, which could be a little bit more of a bump up. But that kind of looks like we're not going to get any massive swell at this year's Aloha Classic. Again, I am not, you know, a Maui local, but looking at that forecast, I think that's be quite a fair analysis.
Yeah, because there is a WhatsApp group that Ben and I are part of, which is giving updates as to what's going on in the Aloha Classic. And there was some talk about maybe it getting started tomorrow. But by looking at that chart, the swell's dropping a little bit. So
yes,
yeah,
from what I've heard, they're quite confident the wind could be there, but it will be smaller, which is today in Maui. You know, they are on Friday, I'm guessing. What else did I see? Jake Shetaway again, another little video clip from today's action. Bam! Look at that.
sick. So good, isn't it?
Yeah, so like head high, you know, head high. You know, Hookipa, even on the small days, it's
that was
usually
sick
there's a few
turn.
sets of like logo coming through.
Wow.
Always the way.
Mate, he's making that look pretty good with that style. Wow.
Yeah, Jake Shetaway, he's going to be one to watch. I said it before in the
Sick.
competition. Keep your eye on Jake because he's a talented fella. Obviously, Maui local one. Yeah, and to clarify, there will be an official live stream, not from me, not from Paul, not from us. We are just kind of just doing this just because we're interested anyway, and we would be probably on the phone talking about this sort of stuff. So we thought we'd just do like a live phone call with you guys listening in. So in case you think you got a bit amateur, these guys are just chatting shit. Well, you don't have to watch it. We're just trying to give you some sort of update. So there will be an official live stream. You know, budgets and all this, they're only going live when the actual competition happens. So they miss a bit of the buzz and the kind of hype. We're trying to give it a little bit of, you know, what's it? Low-key hype. Just a little bit for the keen beans out there.
Yeah, no, it's good to get a bit of a build-up. So Kai Cachadorian will be doing the commentating.
Yeah.
And there will be live stream for every completable day, yeah? Is that your understanding?
As far as I understand, again, I'm not privy to that. That's going on before. You know, we saw in Fiji they only did the finals, or they only did certain heat, or no, Fiji they did all of it. But I have seen in other ones they've only done certain heats. So I think in Maui they should be doing all the pro men. It's the finals. They have to be. I don't see how there's any way around it. And just to clarify, so the holding period started at the beginning of this week. It goes through, I think, to the 3rd, and they can only choose. And this is the problem, and this is why we haven't competed already, or they haven't competed already. They can only choose 5 days. Now, these 5 days don't need to be consecutive, but you really don't want to go with your 5 days, you know, start your initial, because it only takes 5 hours probably to run the men's competition, a lot less for the women's. So in a day, they can get a result. If they start on what could be maybe a forecast like it was, they will have a single elimination champion. And this is the finals. So it's a really difficult call. They have to kind of go, do we go today? Is this, you know, and you only know after it. You can't like make the call halfway through the day because you're wasting half a day. So it's like, this is very difficult. And this is why I think they got Duncan Coombs in, because they were like, we don't want to make this call. We need a guy who's been there, can handle the pressure. And Duncan is the most tranquilo.
Yeah, he's calm.
I know. He asks all the riders, he picks up all the information and makes a call based on that. You don't always get it 100% right, but in my experience, he has made some epic calls in the past, which go unnoticed because no one ever says well done to a good call, because it's a good call and everyone's expecting a good call. But a bad call, which let's say today could have been a bad call, we don't know, but he might be thinking, if I'd have known it was going to work out like that, probably would have gone. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but he's made some amazing calls in the past, and I'm pretty confident looking at that forecast they're going to have some win by the looks of it.
Yeah, and obviously we've got a message here that someone's just tuned in, but yeah, the event will be live streamed.
Yes. Yeah, there will be live stream, all going on in Maui again with, I think, Brian, who is heading up the Fiji one and the Peru one. He's been to all of them. And also Kai Cachadorian will be commentating. So they will be bringing you the live action. It will be on the IWT channel, as far as I know. So yeah, when it happens, if it goes, which could be in a few hours time. So 9 o'clock, again, to give you the idea, it is about 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 10 past 4 in the morning in Maui right now. So in 5 hours, we will get a WhatsApp message, the guys on the WhatsApp message, if it's looking on to today. After yesterday that we've just seen on the video, I would say be very brave not to call it on now. This next 5 days looks pretty good.
Yeah. Do you mind if I just pull up the forecast again? I just wanted to have another look at.
Do you want to look at the
on.
previous one or the updated forecast?
Well, yeah, let's look at the updated one. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the updated one. I will put that on the screen. Share screen.
I just want to see what's happening later in the week as well, because the last one was showing a bump up and swell towards the end. Okay, so now that's been pushed back a bit. Okay, you see that? That's on the second and third now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're right. 14 seconds at the end of this period, at the end of the window, 14 seconds and 1.8.
Yeah, but that's the fourth is the end of the event. So the third is the last difference. Yeah.
The sixth looks proper.
Yeah.
Little bit east, but pretty good. Big swell, 2 meters, 12-second period, proper windy. Oh,
but that's the end of the event. So I'm just, so we look, so the third, so actually, sorry, because there's obviously 5
looks
days.
The windiest, but not this most swell, and then Sunday looks like it's got swell and the right, direction. It looks like it is that northeast that Graham Ezzy was on about, which is when it kind of comes in windier than it says. So and that's what Duncan's looking at. He's looking at Saturday, Sunday. And someone I think just mentioned in the comments about the masters and amateurs, and it's true. This is an IWT event, so there is masters, juniors, and this. So you might even see those guys go today in 5 hours' time. They might start with those, and then obviously the trials as well.
Yeah. Oh, for what I'm looking at here, Saturday's got the most wind, but actually it's Sunday, Monday that looks the best for waves.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. Well, it's kind of good timing because, at least we get some action on the weekend when most people have got some time to watch it as well. So that's cool.
Someone's just asking what sail is Jake Shetaway on? 3-man sail? Is it a 3-man?
Pride.
1, 2, 3. You're right. It is a 3-man sail. Interesting. Actually, bringing the 3-batten back.
That reminds me too. So the other day, the photo with Nash and Kai Lenny, it looked like Nash was on a 3-batten sail as well. Do you see that?
Okay, interesting. Someone did mention that. I tell you what, I have got. Did everyone see the YouTube video from the Kona days? So I can share the YouTube channel and go and check out this guy's on their channel as well. I'll let you know who it is. But I saw this the other day and it was pretty interesting. There's a hit in here from Thomas Traversa. And there's some weird like air grubby from Antoine Martin as well. But this is actually, let me just give them a shout out first. This is Nature Maui channel. So go chuck them a little like when you do.
Yeah, this is a cool
video. This video. I haven't downloaded it, just screen sharing it. So I don't know how well it's playing. But this is the Kona day. Look at that. Stalled forward off the lip from Ricardo.
So sick.
Then you got massive, like punted into the air flats from Antoine Martin. I think there is on the. I think it was Antoine Martin. Difficult to see. We've also got Nash out. Is that Nash?
No, that's is that Leon?
Leon looks like Leon. Flicker board, but you can see that Kona day. It looked pretty fun. There was some big flat patches I heard in between, so it was kind of like really on and off. And wasn't an easy day to launch into competition. But in terms of like free sailing and moves, I thought it looked pretty special.
For someone who sails pretty much port tack, lanes look so fun. Whew,
who's that?
Look at the Nash sail behind. Oh, the camera moved on. See, Nash he's got a 3-batten sail as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a few 3-battens out there.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to see the revival of. Just check out this wave in a minute. Sorry for the audio only, but there's a Thomas. I think it's Traversa. I could be wrong, but there's this really late weird hit, and it's Antoine Martin is also on prototype sails. The Norths look weird, don't they? I think they're like whitish or something.
That's a sick little barrel. Hookipa looks actually pretty fun to surf too, doesn't it?
See, that's Traversa. So that's on a GA. Okay. So that was Traversa. It's not easy to spot.
No, it's a different sort of. Oh, I see. Yeah, I can see the sail now.
Oh, it's one of the Gasper boys. I shouldn't really say. It could be Takuma Sugi, actually. It could be a few of them. But I think this is Antoine Martin's big air grubby. Watch this. Oh, no. Just a death goiter.
What sail's that? Was that Antoine?
Again, it's really difficult because there are a few guys. It's the time of the year where new sails are coming out. There's a few prototypes messing around. Not easy to see. I just remember I was watching this the other day, and there is some really kind of radish moves.
That'd be Morgan.
Yeah, it isn't easy to spot them, is it? There's one really late here. I want to see it on like, I only quickly watched it the other day, and I thought that looked funky. Obviously, it's only a 4-minute video or something. But this maybe is this? This looks like
that's Thomas, isn't it?
Try a traverser. Look.
How did he make that?
Did you see that? So for anyone listening, audio only, traverser, super late. Oh man.
Anyone else would have just been broken in half.
Like really late up. I mean, gets absolutely smacked down. You think he's going to eat it, and actually holds on, and the board gets punted out underneath him. He lands like totally ridiculous. And
that's crazy.
Pretty much doesn't sail away in the end, but it's impressive, isn't it? That's
crazy. Yeah, that is Antoine out the back.
I think it's Antoine Martin. What's this?
It's got a new sort of sail.
You see that? It's like
it kind of it's not a smooth flowing video. It's a bit
okay, slow it down. But he goes for Antoine Martin's coming down the wave, port tack, lanes, Maui. Hits it as if he wants to do like a kind of mutanty 360, but kind of goes up and ends up coming down like a grubby. And actually, weirdly, nearly lands.
He just doesn't get the rotation, eh?
Pretty mad.
It's super offshore. Look at Nash in the background. He's pretty much sailing almost perpendicular to the waves. Was that the right word?
Yeah, it's really offshore. I mean, lanes days, they're not easy at all. Like I said, people saying, why aren't they competing in this? It would have been a really interesting competition, but it is kind of like a one-hitter sometimes when it's like this. But yeah, really interesting to see, actually. It would have been mad to kick off like the finals in port tack down the line in Maui, totally catching everyone the other way around.
Yeah, it's tricky to organize these events, but it would have been sick to have a round at lanes. That would have been cool.
Got Joel saying North is changing the sails. You can see the new logo. So
yeah, there's actually a bit of it's not all black now. It's got a bit of gray or white in it or something.
I wonder if they're doing a normal sail, because
can you rewind that?
Look at that. That is brutal, isn't it?
Lucky he didn't take.
It comes down, comes up kind of late and a bit hesitant, gets stuck off the top, and then catapults into that.
That's my fear. You're in the water and someone just catapults your mast into the head. That's can crack your head open doing that.
Chris says Neil Pride had a 3-baton wave called the Fly. Exactly. Maybe it's an old one. Maybe they're bringing it back. 3-baton. Maybe they still had it, and I just lost touch with their sort of lineup. Yeah, but there we go. So that is, like I said, a shout out to those guys who did that video, which is Nature Maui channel. So chuck those guys a like if you're on YouTube. It definitely will help them out, because it's only 3,000 views in that video, but it really was a great eye-opener for me to see what was going on that lanes day, because pictures don't always don't always tell the full tale, and that kind of hit it home to me that it actually looked like quite a fun session.
Looks super fun. Have you had any change of heart over the last podcast we did, talking about who you think's going to take out the event? I
tell you what, and for anyone who's just tuning in, we haven't heard if they're competing today, but from what we saw yesterday, from the action we've seen online, I would say they'll be twitching a bit now and they'll want to start things off. So maybe we're going to see some of the trials, some of the juniors, the masters, maybe going again. We will find out in about 4 hours time when we get the official nod. We are just here bringing you a bit of an update for the guys that are not all over social media, not, checking all the accounts, just to give you a bit of an idea of what's happening and why they're not going, or they haven't gone so far. But it definitely feels like I think today could be the first first showing of whichever fleet they decide. Yeah, in terms of you're talking about who have I changed my mind? Obviously, we've got men and women. It's so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the women, I still think it's Sarah Keita's to lose. But that one will be interesting. But I'm going to stick with Sarah Keita winning the world title this year. That's who my money is on. The top three is, you know, whether she wins the event, you know, I think maybe one of the local girls could do it. But Sarah Keita is so good just in pretty much everything, especially if there's a bit more wind around. Which, looking at those forecasts that we just looked at and kind of working it out, you're kind of thinking it's probably going to be windy, you know.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Sarah Keita for the women. I think we both can agree there is a hot favorite. And the guys?
I don't know which one I just clicked on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and the guys, man. So Lenny, I'm just having a quick look through the draw. You know, you just want Lenny to do well. I think it'd be good for windsurfing if he did well. Just giving us a bit of a spotlight. You know, he's got so many followers, and I think it gives that coolness having Lenny up there.
True.
You know, I think conditions we're going to see, Kamiju Band, I think might be an interesting one. I think Paré could shock a few people. I think he's been working hard in Maui. Victor Fernandez as well. I think most people have counted him out, and he's danger. Ricardo Confalo, Bernd Rodiger. I'm just looking as he's looking. Nero looked very good in the bigger stuff.
It's hard, isn't it?
Oh my God. It's like I look down that list, and I just, as I get down and down, you realise if anyone can pick the top three, go for it. I will. You know, I was going to hand out a massive prize then, but no, I'm not going to because I haven't got one.
The trifecta.
But just go for it. Name me the top three in both disciplines. I mean, that is if you can do that, you are a legendary status. I look at those names, I think it would be so difficult with that forecast to name the top three in the men or the women, but to do both would be just insane. Go for it. Top three in either category if you think you've got what it takes to be the predictor. But the odds must be massive on predicting it. I think we're going to see.
If the waves stay on the smaller side, it's going to be hard for the judges, isn't it? Because they're going to have to be just looking at finite little details to separate some of the turns.
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult. It's going to come down a lot to wave selection and whether that wave opens up, whether it gives you that scoring opportunity, and maybe looking at like the wind forecast, I actually think maybe it might even be slightly windier than I thought it was going to be. I think someone else said that. Alex Sanders got a good point. He says, last stream, when you scrolled the lineup, I was like, yeah, this guy's, you know, has to be the best at almost every new heat. And it's true. You kind of go, oh, Kai Lenny. Oh, yeah, he's definitely in the final. And then you go to the next one. You're like, oh, actually, you know, Mark Paré and Kamiju Band, they're going to be in the final. And then you're like, well, Robbie Swift, Victor Fernandez, I mean, Arthur could cause an upset. You know, Ricardo Campello, Bernd Rodiger, Morgan. You're like, what the hell? And then you get to the bottom when you think you're all out, and you go, Marcilio Brown, Thomas Traversa, Jules Denell in the last heat. It's like, how? That's what makes this event so exciting. You know, you really cannot predict it. I really don't think you can. People will try, and I don't see any predictions in the comments just yet.
Talking about Mark Paré, I've actually got a clip here from the registration day. I might just play that just to see what he's how he's feeling.
How are you feeling? You're in an amazing position overall coming into this grand final. Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I've been spending quite a bit of time on Maui for the past couple of years. So, yeah, I don't know, feeling pretty good, excited, nervous at the same time, you know. But, ready to fight.
You're on fire, buddy. Come on. Are you having your best year yet or whatever?
Yeah.
It's best year ever.
Yeah.
And coming into this final, you feel like you've got a shot at the title, or where do you really see yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I would like to fight for the title. You know, it's that's why it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me. And but for sure, I'm going to give my everything, and I would love to be able to fight for that title.
We can't wait to watch you. Congratulations on being where you are, and good luck in the finals.
Thank you very much.
You know, the thing with Mark Paré, because you know him quite well, but he's only like 24 years old, isn't he?
Super young, man. There's a few like who are younger than you think. I mean, he's definitely got like a more mature brain than me. I hang out with him, and I'm like, I feel like I'm the kid on some aspects, on others maybe not. But, definitely not in physics, but physical stuff. But yeah, no, he could be one that won't cause an upset, because people obviously talking about he's up in the top 3 at the moment going into this event. But in terms of Maui, people might think, yeah, but he's not going to do well in Maui. I think he could surprise people. I really do. But as you're looking in the comments, as I've said, as you're saying as well, you look at those heats and it's so hard to predict, like, the Aloha Classic. It really is. It's so difficult. So yeah, someone's making some predictions here. Brown, Campello, Antoine, Kai, Camille, Burnt, Thomas. That's a good array of riders.
He's covering all bases.
I tell you what, like I said, you're going to get surprised. I think a few people could cause some surprises. Japanese riders are ripping by all accounts at the moment. Also, someone mentioned about Baptiste. Yes, such a shame for Baptiste getting injured in Peru at the end of the event, and he won't be in Maui. So that will be gutting for him. There's a few riders missing. That's the nature of it.
There's one sailor that I don't think anyone's really considered, but it'd be silly to discount him. I've got him right here. Let's play a clip.
Legend.
Yeah, man.
Welcome to the Aloha Classic. How do you feel about being in it?
I am excited, I'm energized, and I'm looking to win. Action.
You might win. You really might.
Well, Josh Stone told me if I beat him, he'll give me his truck and he'll ship it to Barbados. Last year he told me to give it to the house, but he's getting a little scared, so I think I have a chance. I'm representing windsurfing and the Action Island, and I'm ready.
Okay. Good luck with winning that car.
Action.
You reckon he'll pay up? You reckon Josh Stone's going to pay up? Imagine that. Gets like this freak set.
I wonder if some of the if there's any younger viewers here, if they even know who Brian Talma is, because he's been around since I was a kid, since the 80s, wasn't he?
I have a claim to fame.
Yeah.
I think I might be the only person to upset Brian Talma.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bit of a moment. 2001, Barbados. I got him at a wrong time. I won't tell you the full story, but yeah, he was not happy.
Okay.
I was like, this guy's like the Irie man. I thought he was like super children. I upset him. So yeah. Anyway, everyone has their bad days. I can upset anyone. I can rub them up the wrong way.
What's it like in Barbados? It's a good place to sail.
I thought you were going to say, what's he like when he's angry? No, Barbados is epic. It was one of my first proper trips away. Like, I'd just given up Olympic windsurfing, and I went away with the Ross Niger crew. Actually, I've seen a couple of the Ross Niger crew on here, the new Ross Niger crew. They cleaned up in Tyree, so I got to give them a shout out. My old local wave spot, which is 2 hours from my house, but they won the Masters, the bloody juniors, they won everything, the AMS, everything. Apart from the pros, Phil Horrocks let them down, so disappointing. Anyway, no, but Barbados is super, super cool, but it's light winds. I learned to backloop on that trip in Barbados. I still can remember it was like these perfect steep ramps, 5-6 on a freestyle waveboard, 95. I had a Maui project and these Arrows sails, I think they were, which Brian was sponsored at the time, which is why it's a long story. I was saying, semi-sponsored by a shop. And I learned to backloop. So I always remember that trip. I had a super fun time, socially wise as well. It's a pretty cool place. The only thing is my hands just fell apart. If anyone's ever done that, they go to the Caribbean, I guess, that sort of hot water when you haven't really sailed much, and then you sail 2 weeks solidly. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but the water or the temperature or something, my hands just disintegrated.
Okay.
It was kind of weird.
Interesting. Is the wind there pretty side shore, or is it?
Yeah, pretty side shore. It's just not the most consistent. Out of all the islands in the Caribbean, it's not like the windy one. There's Margarita and these places are windier, and there's other islands that are windier. And Barbados, when it's on, it's pretty fun, man.
Floating ride though. Floating ride's good. Is it floating ride?
Yeah, but again, it's not so easy. It's got more busy with kiters. I think we went early 2000s, which kiting had just started to come in. And then I was with Dave Buckland, who I used to own, or still owns, okay, Fun Sport in Ross Niger, which is like the shop on the beach. So he ended up buying a house there, and he was going back every year. So it was it kind of became a spot to go. But then the kiting kind of took off, and then Barbados went way more into kiting. I guess it's full wing central over there at the moment.
Yeah, because I do remember as a kid, with the PBA, they used to have a Barbados wave event. I remember.
Yeah. O'Neill Marshall won it. I seem to remember, like, he was like the local hot shot, didn't have the sponsors, and he kind of like won. I think they had an expression session, or he won the sort of mini event there, and it kind of put his name on the map. And he was like this. He's cool, man. O'Neill Marshall was a super legend. And I think Nick Baker met his first wife there, because he was sponsored by Silk Cut, the cigarettes, and they had Silk Cut girls come over, and I think with one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway,
those are the days.
It's a bit different.
Hell Sales. I agree what you're saying. If it stays small, the freestyle, Runes, Van der Eyck, and Alba could create some upsets with their tricks in the waves. Yeah, that's what we were talking about that in the last podcast, or a couple of podcasts ago. If it's small, the freestyle skills may come into play.
I think you might see the ones that really cross over, like Sugi, Ishii, the Japanese crew could be really dangerous in that sort of stuff. I mean, there's a lot. The problem is with doing this type of thing, you always miss out a name or something, and literally there is half the fleet could probably make the final. And that's probably no exaggeration.
Oh, yeah.
If they have their day, maybe even more, because they're all super talented. Like, the level's really high. So it depends really on the day and who's on a run. And they're going to need a bit of luck for sure. But yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much our update, I would say.
Do you think the light wind forecast is going to give an advantage to the lighter guys? Or is it like Cabo Verde where adapted gear can level out? Well, that's where the Japanese, lighter guys, lighter wind.
It's favoured them over the years. It's kind of a lot to do with why maybe Marcelo Brown hasn't won that many Aloha Classics, because the a lot of those finals they had were really light, and he's quite big compared to the Bernd Rodiger, the Kamiju Band, Anton Martin. He is bigger, so a bit more wind definitely favours. It helps him out a bit more. The real light stuff is tricky. I forgot to answer Mike Campbell. Yeah, no, they're not going to be competing in Kona. They did have it on the first day. Like I said, we watched that video, but that was just to give you guys an idea of what actual conditions they had, because there's no competition. But then you see that video and you're like, what the hell? It looks epic. But for competition, I think it was very flat in between the sets. I mean, for anyone who's watching on YouTube, which you will be now because that's the only way we're producing. But there is this picture. This kind of sums up what it was like in between the sets.
Yeah.
Pretty much like a lake. So I think when it come through very setty. So super flat and then very setty. Again, I'm just going off that picture. It gives you a real good idea, because it's absolutely flat.
Is it just me, Ben, or does it look a hell of a lot better when you've got a sea full of windsurfers than a sea full of kites?
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I mean, you don't have to convince me on that. I mean, like we said, we saw with the whale the other day, even the whale's trying to, get rid of a few of them.
Another thing I just wanted to add, Alexandre mentioned about gear. That clip that you had of Shedaway, where he's shredding pretty hard in slow, smallish waves. And that's where this modern gear, has really helped a lot, hasn't it? Because it wouldn't have been that long ago where it'd be really hard to see someone shredding like that in smaller stuff. Like the gear these days, especially the boards, it's really helped maximize ordinary conditions.
Yeah, 100%.
This is still, you know what I mean? It's
like small wave performance. And even I think everything, the equipment is as good as it's ever been. And it has been like that for a few years, I would say.
Yeah.
But definitely now, just a little bit smaller, multi-fin boards, and sails, which have got the power in the right place. Old school sails, they weren't really designed for that quick turning, pivot style, whereas a lot of the new stuff is. And again, depends on where you're sailing. Sometimes some of the newer sails, you need the other sail in the range. A lot of the sail brands have got, something like the Fly, but then they've also got like the Combat as their other sail. And depending on where you sail, you know, maybe you're a more old school person, you might want a more 5-batten, more, you know, lesser profile in the sail because it's more for bump and jump or whatever. Whereas the wave sails have got a lot of depth in them now, and they're for driving multi-fin boards. So it does make a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, you know, I was in Fiji and I tried that the Fly Wave, was it the simmer board? That you,
from car, yeah, 99.
99 liter. I'm 84 liters, and that thing, you could throw it around pretty surprisingly well. So for any, it's probably not news to many of the people listening here, but if you're getting into waves, really try different boards, and maybe even slightly bigger than what you may think sometimes. You know, it's because people like to putt out on, you know, their normal wave board, but if you just have a few extra liters under your and not just the liters, obviously you want something that's slightly a bit wider in the tail, or just something that's going to give you a bit more drive.
It obviously
when
depends on your
it's light
spot.
winds. Yeah, of course, and the
You know,
wind direction and the whole thing. Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
I mean, your local spot at the moment, which is now Western Australia, Coronation Beach, Geraldton, you lucky bastard. I've just seen the forecast. Anyway, we won't go on about it too much. I've got nothing here. You know, there's definitely certain boards that work better at Coros because the wave is great, but it's not super gnarly. So, you know, you wouldn't want a Hookipa style board in Coros. You know, you can get away with a more just a normal all-round good wave board, and you know, maybe something with a wider tail, something to carry a bit more speed. And I think that is interesting. You said you're 84 liters. I thought that's quite a good way of explaining.
Oh, did I say liters? No, kilos. Did I say liters? Did I?
I was like, I never heard of someone explain themselves like that. But
I probably am 84 liters as well. Is it?
So you're 84 liters, and no, but it's interesting because I am probably around 81 at the moment. I'm quite fat, and I am definitely finding the bigger boards. I'm going to make a video. We were speaking to Boom Windsurfing the other day, and he said his best video he's done is about literage in boards, and it made me think because I've got a friend here, Justin, who's American. Got a house in Spain, but he lives here down in South Portugal half the year. And he's been banging on at me going, Ben, you have to make a video about people should buy bigger boards because he's basically bought the 99 Flywave off me. And he's going, everyone needs to know about this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but I need to make the right video. And I want to incorporate some other brands as well, you know, have some difference of opinion. And I want to have the normal rider as well having their say. But, you know, when I've got people like that saying, and then you've got Boom Windsurfing, you put a video out and it has a lot of interest, there is obviously a lot of people, you know, interested in it and trying to understand it more. And it is a change of brain from what the old school kind of riders are used to. And again, it's not just liters, it's width and everything else that goes with it. So there is a lot going on, and I think I'm definitely going to make a video like that. Just maybe even just like a video that says, okay, this is me on an 85, this is me on a 92, this is me on a 99, this is me on 105, and just to see how much difference you can see when we step up and what looks like the sweet spot. Because I think for every size of rider and ability, there's a sweet spot of board. So if I go to 105, it's probably a bit big. You know, I've probably gone too far. Maybe, I don't know. But it will be interesting to see what that is. I actually rode our other board, which is called a Quantex, which is a more onshore board. And I rode it in super down line the other day. I have to say, worked pretty good. So, you know, sometimes what you think is going to happen and how they work are not always totally aligned.
Yeah. And it's tricky because Hookipa there's not very many beaches in the world like Hookipa. Most of us are sailing slightly more onshore, less powerful waves. So it's not always a great example for the rest of the world, Hookipa, is it? It's what you should be using sometimes. But yeah, it's definitely worth doing some research and learning more about board design because it could really make your sailing a hell of a lot easier. You know, I had a mate of mine move over to Geraldton, and he had all these boards for cross off down the line, and basically had to change up his whole quiver for Geraldton because they just weren't working here.
Yeah.
And now he's having more fun. You know, it's quite tricky.
I'm sorry to butt in, but I tell you this because it just straight away hit me when you said that. You don't know how many guys I know that have gone to Hookipa, gone to Maui, bought a board, and they've been absolutely loving it, going, oh my God, it's the best fucking board ever. I can't wait to get this home. It's going to be I'm going to kick the shit out of it. And then they get home and it's like, it's a dog. It doesn't work. It's absolutely, and their brain is like going, I what's happened? You know, is it something changed? And it isn't that. It's just conditions in different places need different equipment. And Hookipa, especially Hookipa, is very different, which it's really weird because I've tried to get my head around this lots of times. Very difficult to look at Hookipa and think it looks different because it doesn't. It just looks like a wave. But in my experience, it's bloody different. You know, a board that works perfectly in Hookipa really doesn't work in your average Coros day. You know, it really just doesn't work. It just
for most of Europe, right?
It just feels like it's sucking water, you know, and it's same in Europe as well. So, and don't get me wrong, we get good waves in Europe, and I've surfed good waves on those boards, and still doesn't feel the same. The energy and the shape and everything need to be a bit different. So, you know, I like having one board that does it all. I'm a big fan of that since I'm not doing the tour. You know, I've never been someone who's into custom boards. I've always rode production boards in nearly every brand I've been to. Sometimes I've had a few pre-production where we're working on something which ends up being a production board, but I've always kind of been the production board person. But I have to say, when I've been to Maui and we're doing a photo shoot and they give me the onshore board, I'm like, oh man, do I have to, you know? And you're trying to promote an onshore board in waves which you can ride it, but you have to ride it so like tepidly. You can't push it because it's just not the right shape. So it's kind of interesting. And I think since COVID, a lot of the brands now have gone away from doing everything in Maui. You know, they don't, you notice people have realized that maybe we don't have to go to Maui to do the photo shoot, which for me is quite cool because I don't live in Maui. It's a lot cheaper not to go to Maui, and we get to see different spots around the world and test out different things for the photo shoot at the same time. So kind of interesting.
Yeah. And the other thing about the boards is if you're in a wave spot and you just have a little bit more width or slightly bigger fin or whatever it's needed to help you get upwind a bit more, then you're just going to get a much higher wave count as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're on too small a ball, you know what it's like. You're trying to putt upwind and you're struggling to get upwind whilst half the other people around you are catching all the waves. And so, yeah, it's... I
think that's a good point. I think that's probably one of the most valid points. It actually, what we talk about, I haven't really talked about that because I definitely noticed that in surfing. I can surf quite a small board and there's a big if there's no one around me, if no one's trying to get me into a paddle competition, if no one's, you know, but if I've got bigger board, more volume, I'm catching way more waves. And it's, you know, I'm obviously a pretty okay windsurfer. And I would say if you're definitely getting into waves and you're sailing in busier spots, you need to be catching more waves. You need to be moving, because if you're sticking to the rules, which we all should be, not like the jaw we had on the other day, snaking everyone in Sydney. No, but if you're sticking to the rules, you need to be the furthest out. You need to be the furthest upwind. You need to be the first on the wave. And to do that, if you're planing around and you're more mobile, it definitely helps. And so you can sacrifice maybe a bit of full-on wave stuff to catch more waves and to get into it. You know, depending, again, it all depends on your level.
Talking about catching waves, how sick is this wave from Victor? Like, he does this sick turn to start with. That's a filth turn, followed by an aerial and a wave 360.
Yeah.
It's pretty
and you
sick.
look how quickly does that second turn. So he comes up. This is the interesting bit, and this is the hard bit for most people. Straight in and then straight on the rail. It nearly bogs it, but that little kick up, and then that gives him the opportunity to do that. I mean,
that's so
again,
sick.
like I said, you know, you're not seeing Victor mentioned anywhere.
He is now.
You know what I mean? That is the difficulty for the Aloha Classic. There are people, ex-world champions, guys that have won events, like top sailors, which are maybe not given any mention. And no doubt about it, when Ricardo, who's going for his world title, Brown, You know, these guys are looking at the draw. They are going, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
They know they got to step up 100%.
No, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Is there a cross-shore current Hookipa? I've never sailed there, Ben. Is there much of a current?
There is a really, so if it's hard to say without a map or whatever, but with Hookipa, there's a tiny beach which is kind of up the kind of upwind of the spot, and if it's not windy, when you sort of go off from the beach, the first thing you encounter is a massive side shore rip. It's like a river, and it drags you past the rocks. Now, most people's common problem at Hookipa is to sail out because you think that's the most safest, stay away from the rocks. And then they get out into the middle, set comes, usually happens. It's right on a critical reef. Like, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's super shallow. It wedges up, you go in the water, and then you literally get pushed onto the rocks because of this current. So actually the best tip in Hookipa is to go out, sail next to the rocks, and then the river, like the current, will just rip you past them, and you end up downwind in the channel between Lanes and Hookipa. So Hookipa is like the upwind, and Lanes is on the left. So Hookipa's on the right as you look from the beach, and Lanes is on the left, and there's a channel in between there. So which is where obviously this wave ends.
That channel at a certain size, it starts closing out, does it? Or
yeah, when it gets pretty big, it's but a lot of the time it looks like it's closed out sometimes, and it doesn't. But I've been there a few times when it has, and it's not a fun place to be fair. But it's better than being in the middle when it closes out. And that's the thing with Hookipa, when you ride in the wave, like if Victor falls off here, like gets smashed there, you probably end up on the rocks on a bigger day. But the further you get down and closer to the rocks, weirdly, that's when you don't end up on them. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You don't really want to try stuff miles away from the rocks upwind, because that's usually when you end up getting on the rocks. When you try it right on the end bowl, which feels like you're closer to the rocks, the current will take you past the rocks and you never have a problem. Like in all my years of sailing Hookipa, this is embarrassing at the same time, I've never ever ended up on the rocks, which is a bit sad, really, because it means I haven't been pushing the upper peak. But I come from a background where paying for gear growing up, you know, it was never really that easy. So I don't like breaking equipment. So I'm always like quite, what's the word? Self-preservative. Is it preservative? Like preservation, like kit preservation. So I always make sure I try my stuff further down, whereas the good guys who were, you know, over the years who got a lot of kit and smash it hard and are challenging, they're hitting the top peak as well, whatever size, they don't really care.
Comment here, 3-batten sail. I mean, Victor's sail looks like a 4-batten, but there has been, if you've just tuned in, we have noticed that there's a few sailors with 3-batten sails. So, yes, maybe
Victor's 4-batten, yeah.
Yeah. And we've got a comment here. Can you show the channel on a map? Well, I've actually pulled it up, Ben, in the background.
Oh, okay.
I will
ahead of the game.
Let me just I don't often share screen, isn't it? Okay, I'll share my screen and maybe you can, I'm not sure. Can you see that?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty. If you zoom out a bit.
Can you use that?
Yeah, I can, but my brain is I just need to see it on my screens, because sometimes it can, but yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty, yeah, I'm just making sure that was it. So where that red thing is, actually, I'm going to just.
Oh, you want to share your screen, then you can use your cursor.
Because then I can move it. Yeah, apologies. Yeah. I'm just going to. Right. Everyone see that? Okay. So Hookipa Beach Park. Quick rundown. Anyone listening audio, and I apologize. So you're driving up from Paia, which is down here, down this way, past Mama's Fish House. So where the red thing is, that is Hookipa. Can you see my mouse when I do that? Or you
Yep. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So that's Hookipa, where you would probably start the wave here, and then that's the kind of end bowl there. It's probably not a big day.
Can you zoom in a bit?
Yeah, I was just trying to just show you the
Oh,
bit.
there we go.
But the thing is with Hookipa, you drive past Hookipa, you see it breaking, you drive up here, and then you go around the one-way system. This one-way system is quite infamous because this apparently was like the real gnarly place here called Pavilions, where all the hardcore surfers hang out. And when you drive down this hill here, you used to get a load of abuse and people. It's changed a bit, I think, over the years. But anyway, then you come down into Hookipa, which is like the main car park there. And then this place up here, like the upper guardrail where you would watch the Hookipa. And then this is like the hill where you'd watch the action, which is just to give you an idea. So there's the little beach. Lifeguard hut is here. And then this is the little beach you launch off. When it's windy and it's the, you know, more onshore direction, you can pretty much sail straight out like this. You go straight out, no problem. But when it's not windy, the best thing to do is kind of sail down here. And then you basically go past these rocks like and end up in this channel. So that's the channel.
You just hug the rocks a bit, huh? Okay.
Yeah, you literally go next to them. The water moving here is super quick, and then it backs off here. And then you've got this channel. This is lanes here, and this is Hookipa. It's difficult to tell it from this proper angle. And again, I'm not a Maui local, but I watched this place on my first year ever in Hawaii, which was like 2002. And I never sailed Hookipa. I was there for 6 weeks, never sailed it. I watched everyone on my first day at Hookipa, Policao, Goya, all end up on the rocks, all snapping equipment. It was like mast high. I was like, oh my God. I had like one Arrows 400 mast. It wasn't a skinny back then. It was like a fat mast. And I was like, there is no way I can afford to break a mast. So I literally didn't. I just new to wave sailing in 2000 or whatever. So I just didn't. I just watched it a few times and it was terrifying. I saw Sam Island here break his mast into like 5 pieces, his boom into 3 pieces, and it just looked horrendous. I was like, oh my God, this place is insane.
It's an expensive day out. Just destroy everything.
This peak here, this peak is pretty gnarly. I seem to remember this one. I always used to get like nice tweaked airs here, but if you fall off here and it's biggish, usually you end up getting washed in. If you're lucky, your gear washes into this little thing here. So a lot of the time when you finish a wave, if it's small, you can't go past the rocks here because the wave has already gone and the wind's already dropped. So sometimes you're better to ride the little wave into this little kind of a deep bit here. And then you do a tack here, wait for your moment, and then you sail out. So it's kind of like a weird, like little safety spot, but you're right next to the rocks. It feels like crazy. And then here, the current goes. Whoosh. Anyway, audio only are going, what the hell is he on about?
The rocks at Hookipa there, are they very sharp or?
Yeah. I mean, they're slippy and they've got bits in them. They're not like lava rock, like in terms of. I've never been on them, but but they're a pain in the ass. They're not easy to navigate over. Sometimes your gear can get washed over. You know, you'll see it and you think, oh no, but because the water's moving so quick, this last one here, I don't know if you can see it on the video, this is the bugger. I've scraped my ass across that a few times and you think you've got away with it. But it kind of, as the water sucks out, your gear can end up on it. And sometimes, lucky or not, it doesn't. And then other times, this bit here, your gear can end up in here and you can swim off the rocks this way and end up in this little deep spot here.
Is that where Ricardo was flailing about?
Yeah, I think so. If you end up in there, sometimes you can get off, luckily, and escape. But if you end up here, inside this and inside this, it's pretty much game over unless you're super lucky.
And if you break something there, Ben, and you happen to be washed past the rocks towards Lane's area, and you've got to swim in, what's the deal?
Yeah, so there's a bit, I think they call it Turtle Bay or something. It could be this one, which is not easy if it's big. If it's small, it's less hassle. I can't remember.
Can you zoom in a little bit, mate?
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, maybe not that much.
It could be here.
Okay.
You could sometimes there's a place that everyone's told. I never had to do it. Actually, no, I did. I broke a mast once and I kind of just came. It was very small. I think it was there or there. It's like this little bit and it's a bit deep and it wasn't too bad, but you can't do it at a certain size. But if you break something and you go past, and this is basically lanes, this looks easier. Like, Ben, why don't you just get in on this beach? This is like a rock ledge and there's a horrible step here and there's all urchins and it ain't easy. At a certain tide, it's horrible. I've seen people put the gear down, run over the gear, and then drag the gear over it. Some people walk straight up it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, okay. So you
And
basically
here
just
again the same. This is like a rock ledge here, so you can't. You really want to come in here. Even here is nearly impossible.
It's pretty crazy how tricky Hookipa actually is for a few aspects of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but I should mention, which I've seen a few people do. You come in here and you think, "Oh, I'm going to make the beach," and then the current takes you this way and up here and round. Do this. So you go right around a circle. This is horrible. If it's big and you break something, you're trying to swim into this and you miss it and you get sucked this way, you're like, oh, fuck.
straight into the local surfers where you probably get hassled up there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Thanks for that, Benny. That's I've got a few comments here. What have we got? The walk of shame. Where's the walk of shame they talk about? I guess that's from Lanes Beach.
From Lanes, yeah, from Lanes. You see people walking up from there. Again, you can get in there, but there is urchins. Like, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, no, you don't want urchins. Sailed on Hookipa 20 times, went in the rocks 24. On the rocks more. Turtle Cove. Is that the name?
Whatever. I don't know. It's called Turtle something.
Alexander, except for the consistency in the warm water, I have sometimes a feeling that Hookipa is a kind of average wave that has been hugely made popular thanks to off the lips and aerial and pitches.
It's an amazing windsurfing wave. You know, consistency for sure. You're right. It's very consistent, but on its day, it's fun because it's kind of peaky. You've got different sections. It's windy. I mean, that's why they're all living there. It really is. It is a fun wave. It can be horrible sometimes, like it can be choppy and scary and, you know, not very easy to read. But it is a good place, I have to say. It is. When you get into it, it's a top place to have as your local beach, like most of them do.
Yeah, this is actually, I was thinking of this guy, and Max has made the comment, but there's a YouTube channel, KOAV, I think. Yeah. You seen that channel, Ben? He does.
Haven't.
Oh, you've never seen it? Oh, okay, cool. He puts a GoPro on his head, and he also talks while he sails. But he's got some great videos of sailing around Hookipa and Kanaha, just that point of view type sailing. It's worth a look. It's good quality footage. So yeah, thanks, Max.
Well, maybe I have seen it. You know, sometimes you see so many videos, I don't always remember the name.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if you haven't. It gets quite a few views. Here's a question for you, Ben. Is it expensive to stay there?
It was very expensive. It wasn't back in the day, which sound like that's when I know I'm old. But, you know, when we first started going to Maui, I stayed in Camp 1 in actually one of Josh Stone's houses, and we were paying nothing. It felt like it really was nothing at the time. It's like $60 a night between us for a house on the beach. We got like this last minute deal. And then even since then, you know, I stayed in Rainbow Hostel and this sort of stuff in Bahia, and we rented houses pretty cheap. And then with the introduction of Airbnb, and then Maui put some law that you couldn't do it, and it had to be a guest house, has to have a license, and had to have all these things. I think someone correct me in the comments if I'm totally wrong by this, but they did some law which meant you had to go through these, and then everything just went ridiculous. And then, you know, for me as a, you know, not a totally flash windsurfer with lots of money, I looking at Maui going, well, the flight when we used to go, the flight was like $420 if you got a good deal, which was super cheap. I remember thinking, wow, kit wasn't too bad. And then the flights went up to over $1,000, and the price of the accommodation was just crazy. And the food prices, you know, this is the one thing about America. So I apologize if you're American, but I'm going to go off on a rant now. But you see the menu and you think, oh, okay, that seems reasonable. That's not too bad. But then you've got to add tax onto it. And then you've got to add like a 20% tip, which somehow they make you feel is like the law. And I've had a lot of arguments over there because that's just not how I've grown up. We tip when someone does good service. That's the tip. The food price should be the food price, and the guys who run the business should pay you a good wage. And if you do a good job, you're tipped. That's me. In America, it's like they like, you know, if it was shit, pay 10%. If it was good, pay 20. And if it was excellent, give us 50. It's like, it just seems mad. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit there, but it just seems bonkers.
There seems to be a theme happening here. You go to Barbados, you piss off Brian Talma. You go to Maui, piss them off. What's going on?
I won't tell you about the bar. Like I don't know, I've probably maybe told you this story before, but I was in the bar and we're just ordering at a bar. Like, tell me if I'm out of order here. Corona, it's in a bottle. All the bar lady has to do is take the top off. Now, I assume because I'm from Europe that the bar lady gets paid. Like that's just
sorry. When you say the top off, are you talking about the beer or her top?
The top off the bloody bottle.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
top off the bottle. So you're thinking, well, they get paid for that. That's like kind of like standard. You're not expecting to give them you the bottle. And so then after a couple of rounds of this, it's my round, and I'm waiting at the bar, and I'm like, and she's not looking at me, no eye contact. She's dicking around underneath the counter. She's doing everything, which is really awkward after a while. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I'm thinking maybe she's just having a mare, whatever. So I sort of beckon over the other one who's at right the other end of the bar. I said, excuse me, I couldn't grab a couple of 3 Coronas or whatever it was at the time. And she pokes her head up from under the bar like this, right in front of me, goes, she said, I'll tell you what's wrong. You've had 2 rounds and you've not given 1 tip. And I was just like so caught off guard. I was like, okay. I was like, and I was like,
did you say, do you know who you're talking to? I'm just still windsurfing.
I was like, how much should we be tipping? And she said, I think $1 a bottle. And I was like,
oh, okay.
In my head, I was thinking, $1 a bottle? What, for you to hand me the bottle, take the top off?
Oh God!
I mean, maybe there's some servers here that are going, "Oh my God, Ben, that's so rude." But for me, that just seems odd. At the end of the night, maybe after a couple of drinks, if she's got some banter, if she's having fun, if she's counting to the crack, maybe I give her a tip, but not for opening a bottle of Corona.
Yeah, wow. It's the US. It's tipping. Because don't they earn about $5 an hour, so they require tips just to survive?
But they don't earn $5 an hour, do they?
I don't know. I was just kidding. But
again, maybe I'm wrong. In South Africa, whole different ball game. I get it. Someone's explained it to me. They don't get paid much. I tip every round in South Africa. It's not a problem. But America, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Well, remind me not to go on a trip to Maui with you, Ben. I don't want to get my head knocked off.
Yeah, I won't tell you about the bouncer story either. Then, so. I don't even know if that bar's there anymore. I don't know. Maybe it is. It's probably gone.
What's this? So given the conditions they are expecting, where would the wave ride start and end?
So given the conditions, yeah. I don't know if this is the best view because it's a Google map and you can't tell on the swell. But pretty much the smaller it is, obviously, the less it breaks into the channel. And the shorter the wave is. So maybe the upper section of the wave, you might end up having the wave where you can hit like a hit here. I don't know. Looking at this, I'm not sure. It could be here, could be here. And then you might not make the end section. Or you could start mid and then you hit this end section. When it's big enough, you can ride from up here all the way down and finish all the way at the end. And it takes some reading, as we saw with that Victor Fernandez wave before. He had to get up really quick to get that aerial, to get the boost to make the next section. So that will be definitely a skill.
I'm just laughing because it's nice comment. Ben's new series, How to Make Friends Abroad.
To be fair, now you say this, I do have a couple of stories from everywhere that maybe I'm the common denominator in.
Excuse me. That's funny. That is so funny. We got another comment. We've got comments are flying. They're coming in thick and fast today. I stayed in a 3-bedroom house in Paia. 20 windsurfers, bunk beds in every room. Bathroom floor was rotted, could see the dirt through holes.
Sounds like one of Rick Markham's old places. He's got some really good ones now. He's cleaned up. I think he owns half of Maui now.
That's the image I have of Maui back in the 80s and 90s. It was a bit run down, but now it's all millions of houses.
When I went there, it was a while ago now, we stayed on the bottom of I used to stay in the Rainbow Hostel. If anyone's been to Paia back in the day, it's kind of like the hostel, and it was always funny. There's this ex-Vietnam vet who used to run it called Ricky, and he was an absolute nutter. Like, I'm pretty sure he had some problems, but he could just go absolutely off the scale at any point, and you didn't know when it was going to happen. But it was always fun. There was always quite a lot of hippies in there. There was some windsurfers, there was some surfers, and I met quite a few people at that place because I used to quite like staying there because I just meet different random people, and it was always funny. So I used to stay in the bunk rooms. Oh God, there are some horrible stories. But one of the last times we went, we stayed downstairs, and we had this room, and it wasn't ready yet. But he's like, "Look, I can put some mattresses on the floor." And we were like, yeah, fine, that sounds good. There's just 3 of us in the room. We know each other. You know, I was with Simon Crowther, and we were actually on the Simmer shoot at the time. So he had all his camera gear, he had all that stuff. And we were staying with a young kid as well. And like the thing is, when you go to Maui and you live in these places, they're all usually wooden and there's creepy crawlies and stuff. But there's always this talk of centipedes. These, like, are they called centipedes? The one with lots of legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the
millipedes, centipedes.
Is it millipede?
Okay.
I can't remember.
Millipedes have more legs, I think.
Oh, fuck, the ones with the long, they look like a fuzzy thing. They got like,
yeah.
But they're really fast, and there's like, I remember when we first go there, they were telling us like these things like deadly. I was like, what? Shut up. There's not the deadly. But then they are meant to have this pretty nasty bite on them.
Yeah.
Long story short, we were infested with these things, and we were in pitch black one night, and we just heard this young kid Rich go, what the fuck? And we were basically, this centipede had run into his bed and he couldn't find it. So then we were trying to like hunt it down the whole night, and it basically disappeared, and then it came back, and then we found out there was more than one. It was just
how can you sleep when you got centipedes in your bed?
Honestly, it's terrifying, those centipedes. They're so fast.
But Skip Gonzalez prefers Tenerife.
What's he say? You're dead on, Ben. My family is from Hawaii, but I live in California. And even though Hawaii is close, I home prefer Tenerife. Yeah. I mean, I like Maui. It's the price and the distance which puts me off. Like, in terms of windsurfing, epic place to go. Although I have told this story before, but I had a friend who was super when we first went to Maui that year, and he was French, so he was on a cheapie. We were staying in Josh's place on this beach in Camp 1, really cheap, but we got a good deal. And he was going there with us. Kiting had just come out at the time, and he'd kind of switching over. Well, he hadn't switched over yet. He was getting into it. And he went over there windsurfing. You know, Maui had been his dream. He was like, this is the place. I've really hit the big time now. We were going on a boys' trip. We were going for 6 weeks, and he was going to stay on and live there, you know, and he's going to buy a car and camp in the bushes with the homeless people in Kanaha. So it didn't go well. We turned up, and we first went to Hookipa, watched everyone get smashed on the rocks, all these legends. We were like, oh shit, this place is pretty hardcore. And then we went to Sprex because I'd read about Sprexville. It's meant to be the place. We went there. Oh my God, it looked like a bad day on the south coast of England. It was like choppy, just horrible. We went sailing. He came in, and he's doing all these French swear words, and his like dream had been shattered. Like, he's been dreaming of this place. Then we went to Kanaha, and it was like absolutely rammed. It was like 8, 9, 10 people on a wave. Lots of Japanese, lots of just packed. And it was like, he's like, he's fucking whatever. He went, fuck this, I'm going to go kiting. So he basically gave up windsurfing on that trip, went to the shop, bought some kites, some Cambrina kites, bought a surfboard, and he's like, I have had it. I'm selling my windsurfing kit, traded it in. He literally was like, done. And then for the first night, he went down to Kanaha, parked in the bushes, slept in his car that he just bought, put his surfboard under the car. Next morning, reversed out, forgot he put his surfboard under the car, run it over. And then he was literally on a bit of a mare. But then he went on to be British kite surfing champion and do pretty well in kiting, world tour and everything. But anyway.
God, he went to the dark side, eh?
Yeah.
It's a shame, isn't it? We've got a request here from Peter Olsen.
Sav,
we want to hear the bouncer story.
Sav was there. I just seen a comment saying, Sav, tell us more. Where's Sav's comment?
I'm still a fair way up the list.
Yeah, there we go. Mark Savage is on there. I wasn't even thinking of that story that you're saying. I forgot about that one. That's a different one. We would, I mean, obviously Lahaina is kind of, been devastated with the fires right now, and Maui Strong supporting the Aloha Classic. But I'm going to talk about Lahaina when it was bustling, and it was like the stag do's, and it was meant to be like the place to go, like going crazy. Because if you go to a bar more than 2 nights in a row in Paia, they look at you like you're an alcoholic. So we were like, okay, we get in the car, we got in the van, I think, when we drove down there, and there's quite a few of us, and we thought it was going to be a bit of a wild night. It turns out you can't have fun in Maui, on a level of what we were assuming was fun. I just remember Greg, who was with us at the time, we were dancing on the dance floor. And this is not a joke. This did happen, right? He didn't grab her ass, just so you know. This is a true story. I'm not like...
Whose ass?
So he's dancing on the dance floor. Like, we were doing some bit crazy dancing. I got chucked out for dancing.
You got chucked out?
This is how it started. So,
well, how do you dance?
The bouncer come out. Exactly. I'm a bit of a crazy dancer. Like, have you seen have you seen American Pie with the dance off? It's a bit like that. So, a bit old school, bit of dance style.
You do a bit of break dancing and stuff.
The bouncer come up to me and he goes, "Hey, I'd just like to come and..." I always remember this. Come, I'd like to have a word here. He just shuffled around me. So I was like,
that's
not
so funny.
In the dance. I didn't really know what was happening. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he goes, okay. And then I realized I was outside. Like, he'd shuffled me to the door. And then he goes, okay, sir, sorry, you can't come in. I was like, what do you mean? All my friends are in there. We're here for the night. Goes, sorry, sir. Dancing with intent, sir. Dancing with intent.
Holy shit.
Dancing with intent.
What does that mean? Intent for what?
Intent. Dancing with intent. I said, intent to do what? Sorry, sir, we can't have you dancing like that in here. And that was it. Then Greg got chucked out. He was dancing, touched this girl's bottom by accident, just dancing. And the girl turns around. You don't know me like that, so don't touch me like that. And he's like, he's like the most honest guy, never gonna happen. Didn't mean it. Just went downhill fast. Sav was driving. He was the sober one. Maybe he's got...
No, it's not like going out in Newquay, is it?
No, it's not like going out in the UK.
UK, yeah. No, it's I think in the US, I've been to I've actually been to Oahu and the mainland, but you do have to be a bit more careful with your interactions, I've noticed, aren't they? You sort of think of the US as some super loose place where everyone's just having a great time, but
I thought that
it can be a bit gnarly with some of these things. I've noticed. I don't know about Maui, but the US in general. Yeah, it's interesting. What other comments?
I won't tell any more stories. Sorry, I know it's meant to be a windsurfing.
No, I think people are liking the stories. They seem to be hanging around. What do we got here? Thanks for the explanation of the keeper layout. At events, it would be nice if there was a diagram that shows the layout and conditions. At Silt, it was difficult to understand the wind and swell direction. Yeah, that's cool, Ben. If we continue to be doing these podcasts before and during events, we can bring up some of these maps and things. I think it helps me too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, actually. It is a good point because it is hard to orientate yourself sometimes, especially when you have a close-up angle. But yeah, maybe that's worth just a video, like an edited video on its own. It could be quite interesting.
Sorry, I keep laughing because of the comments. We've got Dave the Wave. During a magazine board test, one of the guys got bitten in the ball sack and we had to take him to the hospital. Avoid those millipedes.
Yeah, honestly, they're nasty. Honestly, they're frigging crazy.
Yeah.
I got bitten in the ball sack driving back from Estrance once, like this wasp thing. I called up my shorts and I had to get out of the car, rip my pants off. It's like naked in the middle of the... Anyway, it's another...
Billy Short, in case anyone's wondering why I'm reading the comments out, it's because this podcast also goes onto Spotify. So we're trying to... make it more audible for everybody. Billy Short, wait until we hear Ben's stories about partying in Cape Town. Yeah. I think we need to make a whole podcast of your stories, Ben.
Yeah,
it's
my problem is I've got bad memory, but when someone reminds me of something, they all come flooding back pretty quickly. there's way too many. Actually, just even when you mention a place, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that. That's the problem when you get around it.
Tayron, wouldn't change those memories for anything. Money ran out, ended up working for Hunt Hawaii, windsurfing at the old Haiku Cannery. Memories.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like, again, I haven't been back to Maui for ages now, and I am jealous, like the guys that live there, but I guess it's a whole different world. The sailing and everything's still probably the same. Maybe it's quieter on the water. That's probably good. But in terms of the other stuff, I think, yeah, we with the first car we bought when Bucky, we bought this like massive, it was like a dream come true. We bought this car with like a bench seat on the front, which we don't have them in the UK, or maybe I never wasn't around when they were around. It's like Cadillac thing. And it literally was just one big long seat. It was friggin' epic.
Yeah,
like,
they're cool, aren't they?
We could just all sit in the front. It was just like this, and it had like the softest suspension in the world. It was kind of crazy going down to Sprex in that. And then even the sails, like the 5.0, 5.3 could fit widthways in the boot. It was like so wide, this thing.
Yeah, we had those sort of cars in Australia, the bench seats, we called them. They're cool. Yeah, they're so comfy. It's just like sitting in a lounge.
Yeah.
Tres Fun launched from Hookipa on a downwinder to Kanaha with 2 other guys. One of my most memorable windsurfing experiences. Turtles, flying fish, a shark was sighted. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It is cool that the art of the downwinder has kind of calmed down a bit in windsurfing because of all safety issues and stuff. But I'd say we've probably got so much stuff now, we could probably make it safer than ever with phones and all this sort of stuff. Like I was saying to you, like in Geraldton, there's quite an epic downwinder from Sunset to Gero. And in Cape Town as well. Obviously, the kiters do it all the time. I sailed quite a few times from Sunset Beach in Cape Town down to Big Bay. Never gone over Melbourne. The wind gets light to go down.
The thing with downwinders, the last summer I did a downwinder from like South Corros to Corros. You know South Corros? You know that spot? Yeah. So it's probably I don't know, a kilometer or so downwinder. But what I find is it's quite hard to go downwind when you powered up windsurfing. It's not hard to actually go downwind, but it's a lot easier to sail on a broad reach than it is off the reach. You know what I mean? It's you're having to work a lot harder.
What's fun? Oh, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's just interesting because with kites, they love doing downwinders, but I think with windsurfing, it's not. It's trickier to do downwinders. You're having to work a bit harder to make it, easier or easy, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting.
I was going to say what the dream is and the goal. We did it in Brandon Bay like years ago. We sailed from Gower Lane, for anyone who knows Brandon Bay. It's a fucking massive bay, and it was like 3-3 weather. Like a stupid idea. People nearly got lost and died, but we made it. All the way down to the pub, basically, Spillane's, which is mammoth. But when you get the right conditions and you can go downwind and also ride waves downwind, like we do it in Faro quite a bit when you finish up, because you have to walk a long way up and you can just ride waves all the way down. And
that's cool.
Pretty cool.
That's cool. That's cool because then you can go downwind on the wave and not have to bother about getting upwind.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a sad part to this whole, the story. But Lahaina, as everyone I'm sure knows, has been totally destroyed in a fire. So that's a crazy story on its own, wasn't it? It just
Maui Strong, which is one of the supporters of this event, or that's what the event is helping promote, is that fund that's helping put money and stuff back into the community to help rebuild all this sort of stuff. And I actually saw it. In fact, we should mention that. So did you see the raffle thing that they're doing? Is it like an auction?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Did I see it on Instagram? I apologize.
Okay, I must have missed it.
Let me just it was basically saying there was some riders that had put in stuff that people could bid for.
Cool.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I mean,
here we go. I found it. Okay, so this is what is happening at the moment. It's quite interesting. Like I said, I just seen this. So this is obviously. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just put it on the right one. So this, obviously Maui Strong says this year's been a unique adventure, or just go to it. But this is basically raising funds for Maui and to put, help the people over there get back on their feet, pretty much. So it's a silent auction. So you guys get to bid, but you don't know what the bid is that will win it. And these are some of the things that the riders have put up. So I'm guessing they've put it up themselves, as they're not businesses here. So custom surfboard for you and a Lahaina victim. So 2 surfboards shaped by Bernd Rodiger, starting bid $650. So if you put in a bid higher than $650, you have a chance of winning that. Next up, we've got customized clinic with Boujma Guillaume. So Bouge is putting up that. It's in Morocco or Maui, starting bid 150.
Oh, that's cool.
We've got clinic with Graham Ezzy, in person or online, starting bid $25.
Jeez,
So
that's cool.
Maui or you want online. Then we've got windsurf, wing, or surf coaching with Bernd Rodiger. So Rodiger's putting it in. 1-to-1 coaching in Maui, starting bid $100.
That's cool. Good on you, Bernd.
Yeah. Clinic with Robbie Swift, 2-hour session, starting bid $150. So a lot of guys giving their time for this.
Awesome.
Personal training session with Sarah Hauser, because she obviously trains Marcilio Brown. Ricardo, I've seen Morgan Nero in there as well. In person or Maui online, starting bid $50. And then a wave clinic with Federico, Chile, Fiji, Peru, Maui. He goes everywhere, doesn't he? Starting bid $150. And then there's Adam Varchol is offering surf coaching, Gran Canaria Masterclass, starting at $30.
Yeah, wow.
There you go. All
That's
the
cool.
Will be auctioned and used to feed people that are suffering in Lahaina and Kula from the fires.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, no, it's just amazing how when you hear the story there, you could just lose everything in the blink of an eye. It's hard to imagine. Definitely hard to imagine.
We get a lot of fires in Portugal, to be fair, and when they've happened here, it's, it sounds daft, but you think, oh yeah, but it goes so fast. The movement of the fire is so quick. It's insane, because you look at something, you think, well, why didn't you just do it? It's like, whoa.
Well, you saw the winds. I mean, it was blowing 50 knots. So the fire is basically moving at 50 knots, just about.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? We got Mario, Ben and Paul. I prefer to listen to these old stories all day long. Just keep them coming. All right. Well, that's good to know.
That's one person.
Yeah, no, that's good. We'll do a separate podcast from Mario. Ben, one day I'm going to drive 6 hours from Vienna to Algarve. Did I pronounce that good?
Yeah.
Just to buy you a couple of beers, just to listen to your stories.
I'll be honest, I'm terrible with stories, but you have to remind me of a place. If you give me a place and a thing, my brain goes, oh yeah, I'll remember that. Oh, I forgot about that. It's quite good, actually.
Yeah, and the windsurfing stories, especially from pros like yourself, is interesting because it's very travel related. It's not you're not just staying in one place; you're traveling all around the world, and also when you're traveling around the world, you're in that holiday mode, so you're more likely to do stuff that you wouldn't normally do at home. Yeah, isn't it? It's
100%. I mean,
it's funny.
And also, I would say I'm at an age where when I was traveling and doing stuff, it was a lot more loose. Like there was, nowadays I think it's probably not as fun. And maybe that's just because I'm old and I'm looking at it from a different perspective, and maybe I'm totally wrong. But I genuinely feel I maybe missed the really good stuff, but I still was part of the really fun stuff as well. Yeah. Like I got stuff with Volvo when he's driving downstairs in a car and just mad stuff.
Crazy.
Would never ever think of doing now. Well, I wouldn't anyway.
Yeah. No, but that's what happens when you're young. You do things that you might not do when you're older, but that's the beauty of it. You live and learn. It's cool. Matthias, old days, great stories. Nowadays, polish reels and not a foot wrong. Yeah, that is a bit of a thing. I've just joined Instagram, and because it's hard to do this podcast without it, I have to keep up to speed with what's going on out there. But it's you can create your own image, can't you? You can do whatever you want and make yourself look amazing if you want on there. It's interesting.
Again, it's just a personal perspective. Maybe I'm off the mark. I don't know. But I think a lot of brands, I should really watch what I say, shouldn't I? No, I think it's very easy. I'm just choosing the words carefully.
Oh, looking forward to this. Spit it out, Benny. Spit it out.
I'm trying to think of a good example. Right. Like the controversial characters of our sports are the ones that make it, but they're actually the ones that companies try and stay away from now because they don't want this backlash. But actually, when I look at our sport and look at big sport and I look at which ones have made the sport, it's always the ones that are a little bit controversial. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's almost getting ironed out, which I don't like it. I'll be honest. As a commentator, as someone that's involved in a sport quite heavily, and I look at the media and I look at all this stuff, I think what excites me, and it isn't the clean cut, everything perfect, and that's the same as video editing. It's the same as everything for me. I feel like the realness, and I see it with riders. They have to really be polished, like someone just said now, like, squeaky clean, everything's got to be perfect. But the ones that are cut out from that and the ones that do go a little bit loose are way more interesting, like weirdly. And I see brands have got different images, I get it, but it's interesting how that is, like, I think that's what kills it in the end. Like, I look at mountain biking, like Sean Palmer, he was like larger than everything, and he made mountain biking jump up to another level. He was obviously really good, but he was also loose and does crazy things. Steve P and these type of characters. And again, I guess it's just evolving and changing, which, is it good? I guess it's not good or bad. It's just different, maybe.
Yeah, I think because people, now that everything's gone professional and they're so associated with brands, they're scared to lose backing. If you put a foot wrong and you do something crazy and controversial, then you're worried that I'm going to lose my backing. And so I think there's a bit of that as well.
For want of a better word, the cancel culture, it is a bit like that. Like you say one thing and it can be jumped on so quickly. And it's kind of a bit hypocritical because we are commenting on things, but that is what a lot of people do now, is they comment on things. And it's way easier to jump on something, criticize it, pull holes in it, than actually do something productive and motivating. So, and it's the same with riders. If they do something wrong, if they say something wrong, some people just jump on it because it's kind of easy.
Yeah. But look at someone like Kai Lenny. I mean, I guess he has amazing footage. So he's charging jaws, he's doing everything, kite surfing, windsurfing, but he also comes across as really quite a respectable sort of guy. And, he's not doing anything very controversial. And he has by far the most followers out of any windsurfer, I guess. So there's this sort of, one hand,
but he's so rad. You got to remember, like, he's so rad. He gets away with it, and it's like, I think it's like clothing companies selling out. I mentioned it the other day about like Quicksilver, but then they sponsor these cool events and they do these other things so they keep their image. Kai is like, everything is perfect, but he's rad, like, and he's talking the talk, walking the walk. He's doing everything.
He's like a marketer's dream, basically.
He is the ultimate. That is the ultimate. But then you also need the bad boys. I really feel like to appreciate the good guys, you need the bad boys. Not that I was ever a bad boy. I'm quite a good boy, really. Got myself into some trouble sometimes. But like in terms of real bad, I was never. But you want the ones who are a bit controversial, who don't mind speaking their mind, who say something a little bit edgy. Like, this is what creates, like, I think it creates the whole scene. Without those, you can't have the top speeds in speed surfing without the crashes. You don't appreciate the speeds without the crashes. In windsurfing, that is why I love crash reels, because you then appreciate what the guys are putting you through. When you see everything landed perfectly, it's very difficult to appreciate what they are doing. When you see them getting smashed and you see injuries and you see that, fucking hell, these guys are laying it on the line, this is when you appreciate the other stuff. You know,
Yeah.
if someone comes pulled out of jaws and they're resuscitating them, they don't die, but you're like, oh my God, this is serious. You know, when you see them just playing, you go, oh yeah, they're just playing with the wave. It's not until you see the consequences where you go, whoa, wow, this is heavy shit.
I think also, this is from my point of view, maybe everyone listening could tell me what you think about this, but we live in a world where, you know, people are not trying to upset anybody, so they're trying to be all very nice and, you know, not be controversial. But I really like it when I hear people that go against the grain. Okay, it might be controversial, but they're speaking their truth, and they're just, and I respect that as well. You know what I mean? Like, we're sort of living in this world a bit where everyone's like, oh, don't say that. You know, someone might not like it or something. It's like, well, it's the way I see it. It's what actually happened. Like, what, we can't sort of fluff around all the time. It doesn't get real. It's not very authentic. You know?
I'm a big Ricky Gervais fan, so I'm all.
Well, he's a good example, actually. If someone he just tells it like it is.
It's like, you can't be offended. You know, it's just your opinion, and it's just an opinion. That's up to. I totally get that. Like, to me, it's like, you don't have to agree with it, but you can't all start throwing your toys out the pram because you don't like something someone has said. It's like, that's what they think. You know, within reason, I'm talking about here. But everyone's got different opinions on lots of stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
like I've been asked a few times from people, you know, I went to Fiji. You've been to obviously way more events than I have, but I was a newbie. I went to the Fiji event, and maybe some of you saw the behind the scenes videos I did. And I had to be a bit careful because I was kind of the new guy on the scene, you know, trying to, I guess, be friendly with everybody. But sometimes you'd come across a scenario where there was some heated discussions, or, you know, and that's putting it probably diplomatically. You know, people were having a bit of a biff about a heat or a score or whatever. And here I am with my my phone. I was using my phone to film everything, thinking, oh, everyone would love to see this. But I also had this thing in my head going, well, they're probably not going to like me putting this out there because they've got an image that is pretty nice online, you know. But I'm sitting there thinking, God, but this is what people are going to love. Like, they're going to engage with this because they're actually human. They're not robots, you know. It's
I think it's good, but it's this again. It's very difficult to know, you know, what to put out there, what needs to be told, because sometimes, I said it the other day about sausages being made, you know, sometimes you don't want to see what goes into the sausage. But then other times, I think that's the interesting bit now, because everything's so squeaky clean. You want to see what's in. You want to go, oh, Jesus, there's some testicles in that sausage.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting topic. I'll just move on a little bit because we thought we were going to be doing a 10-15 minute podcast. We're at an hour and a half, but we seem to be rolling along here. We've got a comment here: Wave Surf Spots Map Guide. Yeah, that's a cool idea. After doing this Hookipa one, we could do a podcast where we could go around to some of the popular spots around the world and on the map, and you could give a bit of a rundown of how to sail it.
Obviously, I've been doing Windsurfing.TV for a long time. One of our things that we were going to do, or in my head, I had this global spot guide video thing. The problem is, for me to do all these spots, impossible. So I did have, and I started to make, me and Alfie made a template where we would basically explain every shot that you would need to be in this spot guide, and then different headings. So you could basically give it to anyone who wanted to do a spot guide of their local spot. And if they hit these things, then they just upload them, and Alfie would edit the video. And, you know, it would explain, you know, best wind directions, you know, what forecast, what you're looking for, where you'd sail, you know, amenities, these type of things in writing and also video. And I thought this could be a really cool way to get a lot of things together. It's a lot of work for Alfie to edit it all, but you're also relying on people that's not their job to do it as well, which is also difficult. So it never really got off the ground, but I still quite like the idea of that.
But we could do it. We could do it in a way that's not so much effort, where we just pull up a map. Like, say, for example, I pull up a map of Australia on Google Maps, and I literally start at one end and just work my way down. And say, okay, if you're in Queensland, there's this, and this spot, and you know, just work your way around. I mean, you could do something like that, and you could do it in Europe. You could just pick countries: Germany, Holland,
100%,
wherever. Anyway, that's something to think about for the future. Daniel Oliver. Ben is 100% right about tipping here in the US. Yep.
Nightmare.
Alan Cockrell was with Whippy Dixon in Paia. He got thrown out of 90s night for being happy dancing. Wade Perry, loving the podcast, guys. Keep it up. You keep going talking. What's that? You keep going. You're going to keep talking until the comp starts.
It could happen. You shouldn't laugh. I'll tell you what time is it now? It's 5:30 local time. 3.5 hours till the call.
That's so funny. Balls Muller, he's obviously a good example of someone who is definitely different and creates a bit of attention.
I like Balls. Balls is classic because he is a bit random, but he's also super motivated. Like some of the stuff he does is way interesting. You know, he's got a good character, but some of the stuff he's doing is scientific. You know, it's full breaking molds and stuff like that, which I love. You know, on every different level.
Yeah. I've watched some of his videos from years gone by where he does these quirky little arty things. Like he'll have like a little toy windsurfer and he does that stop motion and stuff like that. I love all that sort of stuff because it's, you know, when you're making a video, like I've edited a few videos, you obviously do it, and you get stuck in a particular box. You know, it's so, this is what I do. I'm in this particular box, and to break through that box it's quite hard. You've got to break through your own boundaries. It sounds weird, but do you understand what I'm saying, Ben? You have your style, I have my style, but if I couldn't do you, and you probably couldn't do me because we're in our own sort of.
But you did. You broke out the mold. I saw you did.
Well, I tried to, but it's just hard. Like it's you've got to really push yourself to do it.
Well, we tried to break out the mold with the quiz, but the quiz has not gone down well. We haven't had really good response to our quiz.
Actually, we might
be cutting the quiz.
Yeah, Ben's not happy with the response of the quiz. We've been chatting pretty much daily about the response to what we've been doing, and Ben loves.
I know people don't like the quiz. It's
I don't know. What do you guys? Yeah, we thought a quiz would be fun, you know, because you learn something and a bit of engagement, but we're not getting amazingly enthusiastic responses with it. So maybe you guys can tell us what you think. Moving along, Mario. All the writers are too political correct now. We need wild guys and girls.
But that's in life. I think everyone is like that now. I think that you kind of drummed into you.
Yep. A lot of comments tonight. We're having good engagement, aren't we? Trying to make windsurfing very family orientated. We don't want the younglings doing what we did, right?
This is the problem. But that's the problem. That's why we did it. That's what I always think. Like, why did I get into windsurfing? I was watching videos of, well, I wouldn't say, but, you know, all these snowboarding videos, windsurfing videos, and they looked like they were having a wild time. And that is one of the reasons I like the whole scene. I obviously love windsurfing itself, but that's just like the extra bit where you're like, wow, these guys are living the dream. It looks super fun. Like I'm all about the fun. Me and Paul have talked about it before, but I don't want to go sailing on my own super serious. I'd rather go with mates. I'd rather have people on the water. You know, I'd rather have a few beers after, or, you know, a little social, or that's part of the whole experience for me. And that's how I grew up. So now when it gets super serious, and I can be serious when I want, don't you worry, very serious, but you know, it is about fun. That's what getting community and people together is what brings sport, you know, that's what makes sport bigger, I would say.
Basically, the more fun something is, more likely you're going to attract people doing it, aren't you, at the end of the day? It's just we'll go to comment here. Another one, enjoying the banter. Blether? Is that a word, blether?
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Trez Fun. I want to see how the wave surfers get out of the wash, but they always cut away. I'm trying to learn wave sailing, but getting washed tough.
That's another one. I've meant to make a video on this because I got these good tips. We do it on the Send It Academy, which is Send It Academy is our coaching we do in Cape Town. With 3 weeks every year with Colin Dixon, and that is one bit of it about saying how to organize your rig so you don't break your mast and all that. And I was trying to make a video, but it's not easy to make a video because you need a higher angle and you need people. It's not easy to make a video. I've tried. You almost be better to make it in like some sort of swimming pool where you can see under the water. And, you know, there's a few things going on. But you reminded me, maybe that is time to make a video about that, because it is a big thing. You forget when you become a quite competent wave sailor and you move past that stage, you do forget what it was like getting into the waves. And
I totally relate to this comment, because as when I watch windsurf videos, they kick out from a wave and you see a set building behind, and then they just cut away, and you're like, oh, but how's he going to get over that mast high whitewater? They do it all the time. It's like, that's where the action is. He's probably going to get, or she's probably going to get smashed. Like, let's see how they deal with it. Yeah. Anyway, I totally get that one. Trez fun. Lois, the K. Yeah. So we mentioned KOAV for anyone who's just joined us as a YouTube channel. If you don't know, he's got some great point of view windsurfing footage from Maui, particularly Hookipa and Kanaha. So check it out. Just look up KOAV on YouTube. Trez fun. I think the MAGAs have made speaking of truth somewhat toxic, and families are getting destroyed. So MAGAs, the sort of Trump supporter style. It's so divided, all this sort of stuff. We've got to find, I think you need to find that middle ground. On one side it's all cancel everything, the other side is just complete chaos. Somewhere in the middle, it's the middle ground. What do we got here? Social media sausage is all nice. Coming back to your sausage analogy, mapping would be fun, but there would be stories to be told. Okay. What do we got here? Killer Jam. Why can't they reduce the size of the event to increase the waiting period? I know nothing about setting up the event, but it's such a pity not to see them compete with the best conditions. Why can't they reduce the size of the event?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's such a big event, but you want to get as many people enjoying that, and that includes the masters, the youths, the juniors. It's your Aloha Classic. You've got to build that thing, and to increase the waiting period is a lot to do with politics as well in Maui itself. They were really happy with the deal they got this year, which was it's like a 10-day waiting period or something like that, with 5 days of competing not in a row. So there was some breakthroughs really, and maybe they've been unlucky. That's we all know windsurfing, but we will get competition. There will be good competition. It's just a shame it looks like the bigger waves were before and after that period, and that is just down to pure luck, nothing else.
Okay. We've got Steve, you should do a quiz in Kahoot. It's easy, fun, and quick. Everyone watching can join. Look it up.
I have looked at that before. It's like a multiple choice one. You need setting up.
I'm not
again,
sure.
it's been so not well received that it's not worth the hassle.
Ooh, we're calling it off, are we? The quiz? Is it over?
I just think there's no point in doing something if not many people are into it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me, but it's a lot of work. The quiz, you got to come up with the questions, do all the stuff.
Yeah,
if people aren't into it, we just sack it off. Maybe we do like a minute quiz, quick one.
Yeah, we can just throw it in every now and then.
We thought the suspense that I want to be a millionaire style might go down well, but it turns out it's a fucking brick.
Especially since we're not offering any prize.
He's like, hey, it's a cat.
People are like, what the hell are we playing for? Anyway,
for the brain. Maybe just people.
The leaderboard. So we did have a leaderboard, and you were at the top. So if we're not doing it again, you actually end up winning. So
maybe now you've seen through my plan.
We've got here Hell Sales. I was at the PWA in Gwyn show in '95. The wildest parties ever. Every pro out partying like crazy. Were you there in '95?
I wasn't there in '95. I was there in 2000 and something, and I got some more stories about that. Anyway, that's another. That won't tell
another day. Any time for starting? Yeah. What was the start?
They're going to do a call at 9 o'clock. It's about 4 hours time or something like this. And so you stay tuned to the PWA and the IWT. But I have a feeling, looking what they got today and they missed out on, they might go for a start. You don't know. They can only run for 5 days. So they have to be very selective. They don't want to peak too early. But if there's wind today, I think they will do something. I could be totally wrong. We'll find out, I guess, soon. But they've had some conditions. If you tuned into the beginning of this podcast, you would have seen.
We've had a few comments about this spot guide being a good idea. I just thought of something. wherever you are in the world, I'm sure we all have our spots where they're not that well known, sort of secret spots, so to speak. So I'm sort of thinking if we do some talks about it to keep locals happy, maybe we talk. Oh, you reckon just free for all? Who cares?
I'm going to get into trouble now.
Oh, here we go. Controversy. Let's go, Benny. Tell me. Free for all.
I personally don't think there is such a thing as secret spots. In this day and age, I am very sure that it's a thing of the past. I think when people say secret spots, they're either very hard to get to, they either don't work that often, they're very gnarly, but it's very rare. And I've been to a lot of these secret spots, and they're not a secret. They're just people can't be bothered, or they don't know it's on, or they're not that hard. It's very rare, I would say, with WhatsApp groups and Google and everything now, that you have a secret spot that people have never heard of. But I could be wrong, and I don't want to upset people, but I hear this in Portugal, and I honestly know the spots they're talking about. And even if the whole world knew, they wouldn't be there because they're too far away from everyone, and they only work on a specific forecast for a specific time. If you're talking about, okay, there might be 6 guys instead of 2, okay, maybe. But we're not talking like every man and his dog is going to suddenly go to this spot. Are we? am I off the point?
I'm actually curious for what people think out there, because some people are pretty precious about a spot that maybe only a few people around at.
But is that in Oz especially, because people like to sail on their own? Maybe that's the difference. I find it terrible on my own.
Yeah. In Australia, it's a bit funny. In Europe, you've obviously got a lot more sailors. In Australia, we don't really have that many for the size of the country. So it's not really a big issue here. But I think the locals in Australia are more worried about everyone coming over from Europe and just turning up at a particular spot. But I think the thing here is it's a long way away. That's the other thing with secret, spots that are so-called secret. As you said, there's a reason why they are secret. It's either because they're hard to get to, they're fickle, this sort of thing.
For example, there's a spot down south in Western Australia, South Coast, which is a secret spot. It's got a code word. It's been in a film. People say it's a secret spot, but honestly, it's a mission to get to. We nearly crashed off the side of the cliff. You need a 4-wheel drive. It doesn't work all the time. It's an absolute
destroy your car just to get there.
And you're like, is it a secret spot, or is it just a bloody hard spot to get to? Again, shoot me. Point. I don't care. But I'm not going to start giving out all the secret spots. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to say, tell everyone the secret spot. They're just not secret. It's like the spot X in. It's not a secret. You need a 4-wheel drive to get there, and not everyone's got a 4-wheel drive, and it's not always better. So it's like. Yeah, it's hard to get to, and there's less people, and it sometimes can be epic. But is it not always busy because people have never heard of it? No, everyone who goes to Cheltenham hears about it straight away because it's not a secret. But no one goes apart from the hardcore locals because they've got they like to sail up there on their own, and they've got 4-wheel drives, and I just don't think it's a secret. I just really don't believe that now anymore. Anyway.
End of discussion. Benny has laid down the law.
I will say, before I finish on this subject, WhatsApp groups and telling someone it's on, that is the biggest problem. And it's not a bad thing for me, but that is what causes busyness. Because if you've made the effort, like here surfing, for example, if you've made the effort to go to the beach, check it, and it's epic, if you then message a group and say, it's fucking on, and then in that group, they message someone else, it doesn't take long before it gets very busy. That is definitely a problem. But they're usually not secret spots. It's just, is it working today? Is it a good day? And this is different.
Well, that's what forecasting's done now, isn't it? Because, back in the day, you had no forecast. Then you had to call up some 1-800 number and get some robot telling you something. And now we've got just instant forecast on your phone. So everyone just congregates in the same areas because of it. So yeah, the other thing too is I'm not sure what it's like in other parts of the world where you sail, or where everybody sails, but here in Australia, it's having too many windsurfers is rarely a problem. It's not like surfing. It's here in Australia on a good spot, you could have 100 guys sitting in the lineup. With windsurfing, if you've got 5 or 10 guys or 10 people at a spot, well, that's actually pretty good. There's quite a lot of people.
Kiters are a problem.
Yeah, but we're getting less kiters.
Oh,
Well, I
really?
don't know what's happening elsewhere in the world, but there's less kiters, definitely. I've spoken to a few people that have they've done it for a while and just starting getting a bit bored with it, or whatever, or they've gone to winging. Quite a few of them went to winging. So
Because they're really windsurfers, but they don't want to like come back. They're like, oh, I feel a bit embarrassed,
yeah. Yeah, I was actually talking to a guy today at the beach, and he does both kiting and windsurfing, and he said that he prefers windsurfing because he just says he reckons it's just better. But if there's any kite surfers listening, sorry, but that's what he said. So I've never actually kited. I don't. Just looking at it, I can sort of see what's going on. I can see the appeal. Well, I mean, the thing is, in certain conditions, it's better than windsurfing. Like if it's real sloppy and shit, or certain conditions, I can see it. But it is.
I actually kited for a bit. I actually won the competition, beat some good guys at one point when I was into it. So I definitely can speak from experience, but it's just another water sport for me, and I think it's got its place. I can see how it is, but they are snaky little buggers on the wave, especially slow and ride, because they're never wobbling.
Oh yeah.
When you're on a windsurfer cross off, you are wobbling. So they're always planing because it doesn't work if they're not planing. So those
you can't blame them for that though, can you?
No,
I mean, at the end of the day,
but you can blame them if they take every friggin' wave.
Yeah, I know. But
you can't it's like being on a longboard or a sup and being hanging around with shortboarders, paddling around them, paddling inside and just taking every wave. It's like, it doesn't work like that.
No, but what I mean is when I said you can't blame them, I just meant like the craft they're on is obviously superior in the sense of just getting the waves. But
so is a sup. So is a canoe. You don't see a canoe or a surf paddle inside a bloody pipeline.
For sure. But that's where it comes down to the rider, how many of them are actually really compassionate to a windsurfer. There's not a lot of them, unfortunately. But that's why we've got to get rid of kite surfers, Ben. We just got to keep hammering him, just let
I think, this brings me back to one thing America and Maui do good. At Hookipa, if there is 10 surfers on the water, you can't go windsurfing, right? Which is a bit annoying sometimes. I think it's 10. It used to be 10. And then, especially if it's windy, because they started getting into doing airs when it's windy. But anyway, most of them come in when it's windy. And then if there's windsurfers on the water, you can't go kiting. So if there's a kiter out and then 10 windsurfers come in, you hear this noise, which is like the best announcement you will ever hear. It's like, kite surfer, go down to lanes, basically. Fuck off, mate. And that's like the hierarchy is like surfing is at the top, we're the next, and then kite surfing's lower down than us.
Yeah.
So,
but you see, we get annoyed with kite surfers, but then surfers get annoyed with windsurfers because we have that kind of advantage over them. It
definitely comes down to the person. You have to, I can relate it to surfing easier. If you're on a longboard, if you're on a sup, if you're on a frigging canoe, you don't just get every wave because you can. If you can get every wave, you have to assume that guy, if he's not been in a good position most of the time and suddenly he's in the good position, you don't fully snake him when you're catching all the waves. You have to have your brain turned on, and kite surfers who haven't, and they're going inside you every time, you don't work like, you can't work like that. It's impossible.
You know my pet peeve is you're going out, kite surfer's caught a wave, he's kicked out, you're going out, you see a set coming, and you think, okay, I'm just going to just put out a little bit further, get it, and then they just burn past you.
Exactly.
And they just turn on that swell, and you're like,
no, that's you just can't do that. You can't do that.
You can't, but they do.
That is the same as a longboarder paddling past the shortboarder, turning and going, sorry, mate, I'm further out than you.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know, Benny. So what's the remedy? You're going to start shouting at them.
some freaking
Oi.
courtesy rules. Like it's just obvious
We're gonna
training.
make a video. We should make a video on for kite surfers on the how to treat windsurfers.
It should be. I actually was going to make a video. I'm going to make a lot of videos, obviously, but I was going to make a video of how to snake.
Well, you're going to be busy with all these videos you're going to be making.
respectively. No, but I've been wanting to make this video for ages, but I haven't because I was worried about the backlash. But it was a video of in busy conditions, which we get in Cape Town and lots of places in the world, how you should not snake, because it's the wrong word, but I'll probably use that in the title just to get some clicks, but how you should snake respectively, because there is a way of doing it. If you are on the same wave as someone and it's not your wave, you can do the right thing, which is you can be upwind of them, don't hassle them, and you wait for them to make their move. When they make their move, you can pick up the pieces behind them totally respectfully. And there is a problem, whereas people, if they are going to do that, this person whose wave it is starts shouting and screaming before anything's happened. And that's not the thing to do. It's like that in surfing. If it's your wave, you don't start shouting at the guy before he's even done anything. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, there's quite a few angles and ways of doing it. And if people are snaking you, how to get them off your wave without, or how to sail them into trouble, you know, I just thought it might be a fun video, but it might go down badly. Might get some comments going.
I think you should do it. Sounds great. Oh, that sounds great. This is actually a good opportunity. I've got a comment here from Rob Wilson. I wonder if I put my Goya 1 in the living room, would my wife mind? Is it a new lamp? Yeah, so actually, if anyone's been watching this podcast for the last few weeks, you may have noticed I have my waveboard in the background there. It's actually my smallest board that I only use on very special occasions, my down the line board, and it's usually in the garage. But then I thought, it's this beautiful thing. You know, I love looking at a waveboard. I love it's like a sculpture. I thought it's just sitting down there, the poor thing in the garage all by itself. I want to stick it up in the living room. You know, it was in the corner. I stuck a little red lamp behind.
I was about to say, I thought you were trying to earn some extra money.
Yeah, well, I haven't yet, but I give freebies. But anyway, so anyway, I know a lot of maybe wives won't like a board or husbands if you're a woman, but in the living room. But I can recommend it. I like it. It's good. And here we are. We have Mateus saying he liked the quiz, so it's back on.
That's
the quiz is back on.
One person. That's what I'm saying. One person. It's not like there's a backlash where everyone's going, "Oh no, guys, don't stop the quiz." Everyone's like, "Yep, good idea." Terrible.
We got another yes for a spot guide. That's a popular idea, but I meant the diagrams at events should make it easy to understand. Yeah, so that's cool. I think we will try to do that. John Blackwell, when you tell people about a spot, there is then some pressure on you for that spot to perform. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think as windsurfers should all know that it's you know, at the mercy of the weather. So
no, but I feel like that when people come to progress, I feel like it's my duty to give them good conditions. So you find you're making excuses, and it now made me realize, because I've never had a home spot before, why people go, "Oh, it's not so good this week. Oh, it's usually better than this," because you feel almost like you want to provide these good conditions that they've seen. And you're like, it's really unlucky. It's not. Yeah, last week was great, and now I kind of get where it comes from.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe if some of you remember when I first started the YouTube channel, I made videos of this place called Geroa in New South Wales, and one of the first videos I made sort of blew up because it's quite. You know, it's very picturesque. You know, it's crossed off, and it's all nice blue water. And people leave messages, "Where is this spot? Like, what's going on?" But it was basically, it's the sort of place where, I mean, you might get lucky. You might get 2 or 3 days in a week, but you could go for months with nothing. And so sometimes people would rock up there from wherever, and they're just like, "Is this it? Like, there's nothing going on." But yeah.
But that's my point about secret spots. It's literally like that. It's like these spots, and that's not a secret, but you've got to be there at the right time. Yeah.
No, so fair enough, John. You're right. There is actually, I guess, some pressure now that you mention it. But I mean, the thing is with windsurfing, because the thing I love about windsurfing and the windsurfers that do it is it teaches you to really, there's a lot that's out of your control.
Oh. Even the internet connection is out of his control. I don't know if you can hear him, but I can't hear him. I'm going to carry on because I think we've lost him. He's gone. We might have to wrap it up anyway. We're nearly on. Been 2 hours. I thought we were doing 20 minutes. All right. Okay. Let me have a quick look through a few comments. If he doesn't come back, it'll feel a bit weird to end it without him, but he's definitely frozen. He's like, I know, it's like the Matrix has got him out of your control. No, I'm still here. I'm only kidding. Right. Kites are like cougars. Is that cougars? Oh, he is totally gone. They get clear motorcycle. Yes. Cages. I don't even know what that means. I think the big air is the only pure thing they have. Yeah, that's the big, talking about kiting. I'd say here we are. I would say first swimmers, so they take priority. Then we've got what? Bodyboarders. How can bodyboarders be next? Bodyboarders will take every wave inside. Here he is. He's back. You just said. I'll just say how you left it. And I'd just like to say anything out of your control.
I'll just explain what happened. It's funny. It's now midnight here. And I've got my Wi-Fi, my home Wi-Fi. It switches off at 12 at midnight. So it just switched off. I had to use my mobile phone hotspot to get back on. So anyway, that's funny. Yeah, I was just saying with windsurfing, it teaches you to be really flexible. You know, people like, have you noticed with windsurfers that they're really good at just adapting to whatever's going on? They're not complaining. You know, if the wind switches off or this or that, oh yeah, well that's just how it is. You know, that's one thing I've noticed windsurfing teaches you. You just got to adapt.
Amazing at complaining.
Oh, you complain? Okay. Well, you must surely you've learned something from windsurfing. But...
Yeah. No, for sure.
Mate, there's so many comments here. It's just endless. We're not going to get to the end of it. We'll just keep going and going. But
I think we're done. I think we've got the Aloha Classic coming up. Let's just summarize. I've got some good party stories, and I haven't told hardly any. We're not going to go there. Secret spots are a myth. The Aloha Classic is probably going to start very soon, and it's going to be probably small for Hookipa, probably still a good size compared to anywhere else in the world. You're going to be like, it's head to logo high bend. Isn't that pretty good? Yes, it is pretty good. But for Hookipa, it's quite small. They looks like there's going to be wind. If they had 5.0, 5.5 today, yeah, I would agree with that. And we're waiting for a call in about 4 hours' time. So stay tuned to PWA IWT websites, YouTube channels. I will definitely come on here at some point if we're on, if it makes sense to. If it doesn't, I'll be watching along with you guys at home. And I guess we'll do some sort of daily debrief. I'm in for that if you're in for it.
Yeah. No, I'm just laughing because for everyone listening, I was doing some house cleaning 2.5 hours ago. I get a message from Ben. Oh, should we do a little podcast? It'll just be 10, 15 minutes.
It would be
2 hours later.
To end it. You just carry on.
No, we just love chatting, I think. Yeah, it's just funny.
There's no freaking wind here anyway. You've been sailing all day. That's what's annoying me. You can tell I'm kind of like, I need to go sailing.
I had a good sail today. I'm pretty happy.
I've got some new kit as well. Some new sails turned up. So I'm going to
go. Freshies.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, nothing like fresh sails. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. Love all your comments and thanks for your support for everything. Really appreciate it.
And then we don't worry, we won't be doing the quiz ever again.
Oh yeah,
we're going to bring it back in a different round. We have to give Christian a prize because he was the top guy, because he was the only guy who actually got to enter it before we've canned it.
And I got the wooden spoon, so great.
You were worst, so yeah, it's probably a good idea. All right,
guys. All right, see you soon. See you guys.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz, the brands, gear, tips, plus the world's best quiz. Called PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat, it's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.